to the NBA and battle for first in the East. Giannis and the Bucks, Kawhi and the Raptors. Kawhi averaged about 32 points a game this month at second best in the NBA. And Giannis went for 43 the last meeting between these two teams, which is one shy of his career high, most ever in a loss. And he was trying to avenge that, something serious. And the Raptors D couldn't do much about it. Just slicing through the defense, getting to the rim at will. Giannis, Euro stepping, Greek stepping, whatever you want to call it. Dude is long and can cover a lot of ground. He goes for 19 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. Let's go to the third quarter. Giannis, baseline past Kawhi. That was easy. And then later, Bucks starting to blow him out. Eric Bledsoe pulls up from 3, bottoms. It's a 22-point lead. One more possession after that. Bledsoe off the rim, and DJ Wilson with the follow-up jam. But the Raptors would mount a run. Pascal Siakam on the break with the finish. Later, Siakam now in the corner for 3. That's good. And then the Raptors come back here. They're on right. They're within 11. Let's go to the fourth quarter now. Siakam matched up against Giannis. Talk about some young talent in this league. Do not sleep on Pascal Siakam. What a player he's starting to become there in the 6. And here's the steal. Raptors transition. Reverse layup there. Siakam rebound. Cuts it to 6. About 5 minutes to go. It's back to a 10-point advantage. Kawhi gets it to go off the glass. He finished with 16 points, but of 7 of 20 from the floor. And then here he drives, cuts it to 6. But the Bucks would not be denied on this night. Traveling north, Malcolm Brogdon hits it big there. They win it 105-92. The battle for the East won this night by Milwaukee.
Possible Eastern Conference Finals preview. Nets Spurs in San Antonio. After this Nets turnover, we got a bat, several of them flying around the arena. And if you're thinking, I've seen that before, you would be correct. Hal trying to do everything he can, maybe wave a towel or something to get them out. Not sure that's going to work. So you remember Hollywood 09? Ginobili swatting it right out of the air. This was so long ago. Duncan, Ginobili, Parker, and Bruce Bowen were on the Spurs. Back to Thursday night. Here comes the exterminator. They've had a decade to think about this since it happened in 09. Eventually, they dispersed. And we're playing basketball, by the way, with the Nets holding the road lead.
We dropped this news at 8 a.m. on a Monday on purpose.
It gives Magic basically the floor for the next 10 days with limited competition.
If you guys really want me, y'all got between now and the trade deadline to make it happen.
Well, really, Rich Paul and Anthony Davis now have all the leverage in the world to pick where they want to go.
I mean, this could be the most consequential NBA trade since Kareem to the Lakers.
All right, ESPN NBA insider Adrian Wojnarowski back here with us on SportsCenter. People heard today that a 7-footer moved teams for the trade deadline. Most people thought it had been Anthony Davis, not Kristaps Porzingis. But with that being said, Woj, what impact does that Mavs-Knicks trade have on the Pelicans' attempt to move Anthony Davis?
Michael, it created some enthusiasm around the Lakers because what they want to see here are the Celtics get destabilized a little bit, and they need Boston to be a little skeptical about how much they should perhaps invest in a trade for Anthony Davis. And the best case scenario for the Lakers is that Kyrie Irving becomes uncertain about his future in Boston, and then Boston hesitates on pursuing Anthony Davis, and it gives the Lakers a window in. Now that the Knicks have 2 max slots, and certainly they're going to pursue Kevin Durant, and their dream scenario in New York's always been Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Kyrie's from Northern Jersey. But Boston has had no waiver at all from Kyrie Irving, and they've talked to him about it. He has not at any point suggested that he's gone back at all about the commitment he made to stay in the preseason. And so Boston's still full steam ahead, and when they get into the offseason, and assuming they get past the trade deadline and Anthony Davis is still in New Orleans, Boston's going to be committed to using all their assets to go and get him. And then in their minds, they hope that certainly solidifies the decision Irving made, and they go forward into the future with Kyrie Irving and potentially Anthony Davis. That's their hope in Boston. And the Lakers are hoping somehow they can still get in here and try to find a way to get a deal done.
I know since you broke the news earlier about the Mavs-Knicks trade, you've been on the phone all day with both sides of this deal. And we talked earlier about putting Luka and Kristaps together on the floor. It makes perfect sense from a fit standpoint. But there's a deeper reason why the Mavericks were so interested in doing this deal from a culture standpoint. With Dirk Nowitzki still there for the end of the season, you get those three guys together. What is it about that mix that gives the Mavericks such a good feeling going forward?
Yeah, I mean, this organization has been built around a European player for the last, 18, 19 years with Dirk, and Luka Doncic is, literally picks up the torch and goes. And now Kristaps Porzingis, who, is really a modern, maybe a modern, more accelerated version of Dirk Nowitzki from where Dirk was, as a teenager. And certainly he's got to get healthy, but Kristaps idolizes Dirk. I mean, that was his guy. And so I think his mindset's going to change pretty quickly here. He wants to be embraced. And I think that there were a lot of scars from the Phil Jackson era in New York for Porzingis that he wasn't able to get past. And I think to enter an environment where they're enthusiastic, where they're dying to have some more star power there,
right.
And he and Luka really do play off each other, I think he's going to have a good run in Dallas.
Woj, always with the best knowledge inside the NBA. And, of course, you got the trade deadline coming up next week. I wonder how that's going to go, Woj. We'll find out on Twitter and here on SportsCenter. Appreciate it, man.
Thanks, Mike.
All right. 4 years after he was drafted 4th overall, the Kristaps Porzingis era in New York is over. The Knicks traded him to the Mavericks in a multi-player deal, a move that teams the former All-Star with rookie sensation Luka Doncic. Now, this move comes less than a day after Porzingis met with the Knicks front office and voiced his concern about the team's future direction. And all of a sudden, we get a trade. You know who was really interested in what happened in New York with this move? Stephen A. Smith.
Don't even need to talk about what Dallas got out of this deal. It's Porzingis with Luka Doncic. That's the future. That's all they care about. In the case of the New York Knicks, yes, you got DeAndre Jordan. Yes, you got Wes Matthews. Yes, you got Dennis Smith Jr., who Phil Jackson should have drafted instead of Frank Ntilikina, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. Here's the bottom line. You're the New York Knicks. You have cleared a minimum of $68 million in cap space. That gives you enough room to go after not one, but 2 max players, and that's a minimum. They also got 2 future first-round picks in the mix, but that's beside the point. The $68 million, why is that so important, ladies and gentlemen? Because you got to get 2 stars. You got the Brooklyn Nets going after 2. You got the Los Angeles Clippers potentially going after 2. We know what the Lakers are going after, but now the New York Knicks are in the mix with Kyrie Irving, with Kevin Durant, and then some. Potentially available. I'm sorry, not even potential. Likely, we shall see what happens. The New York Knicks are in play.
All right, so you knew Stephen A. was going to have a reaction, but, I mean, pretty much the entire league did. Check out Joel Embiid. I mean, he went LOL next level with that one. C.J. McCollum thought it was a good time to turn on notifications, and Bradley Beal was ready for the fireworks to come. And they certainly did, as Porzingis, now a member of the Dallas Mavericks. And again, we still got the trade deadline next week. We got a lot going on. Knicks will have plenty of cap space in play this summer, as we mentioned. Talk about some of the highly coveted free agents. Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, DeMarcus Cousins, Kemba Walker, Kyrie Irving, and if Kawhi Leonard opts out of his player option, which he is expected to do, he too would be a free agent. Zubin, I think I'm gonna need a vacation this summer to get away from the NBA. It's a lot to absorb right here.
In other words, the Knicks are going to have plenty of options. Bobby Marks spent plenty of years, 20 namely, in NBA front offices. Take us through the dollars and cents of this all for what the Knicks might be raring to do this coming summer.
Well, this offer was all about cap saving for the summer of 2019. As you can see in that big green number right now, the deal to send Kristaps Porzingis, Courtney Lee, Tim Hardaway Jr. now has created $71 million in cap space for New York. That's good enough to get a max slot, because here is where your roster is. You have all young players, Dennis Smith Jr., Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina. Here is what we're looking at for free agency. The possibility of a player like Kyrie Irving. If we slide him in here, that leaves you with $39 million in room. You still have enough in cap space for a player like Kevin Durant.
Oh, man.
That slides you in there. And there are your 2 free agents. And basically what it does is you can go into July 1st and say, pick a teammate. Who do you want to come play with right now?
Wow. That's a pretty good question for one of these guys to answer, to perhaps bring the other one aboard. Bottom line, the Knicks have a relatively new president, GM, and coach. And if the triumvirate wants to swing for the fences this summer, they'll certainly be able to do it and have money to spare. Bobby, thank you. Seems only appropriate that the Knicks are already back in the spotlight. Part of the Friday doubleheader. Celtics, Knicks at the Garden. They're all building around Kevin Knox for the moment. And then the newly minted All-Star reserve, Nikola Jokic, and the Nuggets host the red-hot Houston Rockets with James Harden. It all starts the NBA Countdown at 7 Eastern on ESPN, streaming live anywhere you go on the ESPN app. We mentioned the return of LeBron. He was upgraded to doubtful earlier in the day. The rumbling started. He is back at the Staples Center, though they're the opposition on this night, taking on the Clippers. This is LeBron's first basket. No minutes restriction, by the way, on the King. He might go full board tonight. We're tied at
Zuba Mahinti, I'm Michael Lees. You know, on Christmas, Laker fans got a nice present because the Lakers blew out the Warriors. Well, they also got a lump of coal because LeBron James went down with an injury, hadn't played since, Zubin, until tonight.
You mentioned the Warriors. They got the Warriors Saturday on ABC, warming up with the Clippers in the return of the King. He had missed a grand total of 17 games. Lakers are 6-11 without him, and their scoring, essentially from deep, really struggled. LeBron so far has got just 2 points. Here it is. This is the return. He's playing 7.5 minutes so far, I mentioned. No minutes restrictions. We're tied at 23. We'll be with you for the next hour. Van Pelt will wrap it all up on the King's return on his show in an hour.
All right, well, one of the marquee games of the evening, battle for first place in the East. Giannis taking on Kawhi, Bucks, Raptors. Kawhi's averaged about 32 points in the month of January, but Giannis went for 43 of the last time these two teams met. It was one shy of a career high, but it was in a loss. In fact, it's the most he's ever scored in a loss, and I feel like he felt some type of way about that, and he wasn't going to leave Toronto with the L tonight. He started the tone early, splitting the defense. I mean, just getting to the rim at will was Giannis. I mean, they got some good defenders there in Toronto, but Giannis is Giannis. Let's go to the third quarter. Here, matched up against Kawhi Leonard, goes past him like it wasn't nothing. Gets the dunk. Giannis would finish the night with 19 points, but he had help. Eric Bledsoe goes for 14. All 5 starters for the Bucks scored in double digits, and they had 2 guys off the bench come in with double digits as well, including DJ Wilson with the putback dunk there. But Pascal Siakam led all scorers in this game with 28 as the Raptors trying to make a comeback after being down by 20. Siakam in the corner there for a 3. And then here, Serge Ibaka, nice little pass to Delon Wright. All of a sudden, we got a ball game. Let's go to the fourth quarter now. Raptors still chipping away. Siakam over Giannis and 1. Back the other end. The 9-point advantage. Defense leads to offense. There, Siakam with the rebound putback. The fans are getting into it there. Could the Raptors come back at home and lay their claim to the top team in the East? Kawhi working hard off the glass. Give it to him. Tough night shooting for Kawhi. Just 7 of 20 for 16 points. But here, driving, switches hand, cuts the lead to the Bucks for just 6. But every game usually has a dagger, and Malcolm Brogdon delivered it. Bucks win it 105-92, 37-13 on the season. Best record in the NBA. Now, according to our friends at Elias, this is the 3rd time the Bucks have held the best record in the NBA through 50 games. Each of the previous 2 seasons ended up with a trip to the NBA Finals. Those are the only 2 trips to the Finals in franchise history, but they have some pretty good guys there, including like Lou Alcindor, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But a little more on this game. Let's send it over to Tim Legler in his glorious lab.
Well, most nights when you watch the Milwaukee Bucks, you're typically mesmerized by Giannis Antetokounmpo on the offensive end of the floor because you just don't see guys with that kind of length that can cover that kind of ground. But I think what makes the Bucks a viable Eastern Conference contender is their ability to defend the three-point line and the rim simultaneously. And I think they do it better than any team in the league, covering all aspects. Here's a great example of it. And the first thing that all good defenses start with is the ability to jam up the other team's best offensive player early. Don't give him freedom of space. You see that right here with Chris Middleton. And as Kawhi Leonard starts to work his way down to the post, you're going to take a look at Kyle Lowry. Now, he's going to deliver this ball, and I want you to watch the reaction of the weak side when this ball is in the air. Take a look at the weak side defenders come, and they are going to make sure that it's not going to be Kawhi Leonard to get something quick in the post. Ball comes in, stop it here. Now, when most teams get strung out with 4 guys focusing on one offensive player, in this case, Kawhi Leonard, you're typically going to get something really good on the weak side of the floor. Here you've got Serge Ibaka spotted up. You're going to see DeLon Wright come up to this area of the floor. So Kawhi Leonard could go here. He could go to the baseline cutter. He could go to the top of the key. It looks like the Bucks are in a really bad spot offensively. But watch the effort as this ball comes to the weak side of the floor. Now he's going to throw a skip pass. Look at the reaction defensively. Turn, close out. Look at Brook Lopez sprint back to the middle of the lane, making sure he's going to get a body on anybody that tries to come to the rim for an offensive rebound. You get contact on the baseline, and the key to this, the chase, and then this, the contest. It's one thing to close out. It's a whole other thing to contest the shot. The Bucks do a great job of clogging up Kawhi Leonard's driving lane. No post-up opportunity, but then they're still able to get enough effort and commitment to chase guys down at the three-point line. Milwaukee Bucks, one of the best in the league at running guys off that line, and the Toronto Raptors, a team that can really hurt you from there. The other area that they're really good is their ability to protect the rim. And again, great defense starts with taking guys out of their comfort zone. Take a look right here as Kawhi Leonard starts to come up top. Take a look at the denial. So now you're going to force the offense further out on the floor. It'd be very easy for this defender to lay back, let their best player catch it, and now you're in a tough position. It's not what happens. You take it away out here. Now, Van Fleet's got to operate. As he starts to penetrate, again, look at the way the Bucks fly to the basketball, and they've got 2 elite rim protectors back here, Lopez and Antetokounmpo. You flood the lane, take away the penetration, and then the final component right here. Siakam catches the ball. Tough closeout spot for Antetokounmpo. Siakam, a really good offensive player off the dribble. This is textbook defense. You funnel him to the baseline without giving up baseline, and then look what you meet when you get down here. The length that the Bucks have on the back line to protect the rim, contest shots. You saw Toronto struggle the entire game once they got to that point on the floor. Brook Lopez, one of the more underrated stat lines of the season tonight with what he did to protect the middle of the floor. Bucks, a complete team on both ends, a huge road win, and now they control the tiebreaker with the Toronto Raptors.
Of course, the big news from the NBA on Thursday, Kristaps Porzingis traded from the Knicks to the Mavericks. And this was last night because the Mavericks blew out the Knicks at the Garden. Porzingis talking to Luka, talking to Dirk, and he tweeted this later this afternoon after the trade went through. Little did we know, maybe he know at the time, that he and Luka were going to be teammates in Dallas. Well, it happened. This is the full trade in terms of how it went down. In addition to Porzingis, Courtney Lee, Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway Jr. will be going to Dallas as well. As for the Knicks, they received Dennis Smith Jr. A lot of Knicks fans thought they should have drafted him a couple years ago anyway. DeAndre Jordan, Wesley Matthews, and 2 future first-round picks. And after this trade, New York projected to have a little more than $71 million in cap space, according to our Bobby Marks. So, Steve Mills, president of the Knicks, what say you?
When Scott came on board with me, we started and laid out a plan that we strongly believe in. Today's trade will have a significant impact on us moving our team forward. Over time, it became clear to us that Kristaps was not completely on board with the plan that we had laid out. He is a great player, but this morning in a meeting, he confirmed that he no longer wanted to be a Knick. Given the uncertainty of going into free agency with a player who feels that way, we decided to make this trade. It's just a feeling you get as you're watching how frequently he comes to practices, how long he's around the gym, different things that he's doing, and we just started to get a feel that this might be moving in a different direction.
So those are the guys that pulled it off. This is the guy that broke the news. He's the NBA's best insider. He's with us tonight on SportsCenter. Earlier today, you reported there was a meeting between the Knicks and Porzingis. Hours later, you report there's a trade. So how did we get here so quickly?
Yeah, there was a meeting this morning, a request for a trade by Kristaps Porzingis. And like you heard Steve Mills say there, the Knicks saw this coming. This didn't just happen. Porzingis didn't just walk in the office and surprise them. This has been lingering from the Phil Jackson era. Steve Mills is one constant in that front office, and Scott Perry's come in. But Kristaps Porzingis' feeling toward the organization hadn't changed. He was going to go into restricted free agency this summer. He could have signed a qualifying offer and become unrestricted next year. And the organization, once he told them he was ready to leave, well, then they were on the phone with Dallas pretty quickly. And Dallas was really aggressive and essentially telling the Knicks, don't get on the phone with anybody else. We'll get a deal done with you right now, and they did.
And they were able to do it in a matter of hours. So it's a two-pronged approach for the Knicks. You have to make the move to clear the money. Now they've cleared the money. Our front office insider, Bobby Marks, will be here in a second to say exactly how they might be able to spend it. But how confident is the Knicks brass that they can acquire multiple big-time players this summer?
Well, they certainly have the space now for two big free agents. And listen, they would love to get two. But it starts with one. And if they got one significant free agent, they could roll the money over to next year and then go back into it. But there's no question that Kevin Durant is the focus for this organization. And, you know, part of the aggressiveness they showed today to get that money off, you know, to move Porzingis out, was some level of confidence that they're going to be, you know, really competitive in his recruitment come July.
Never has a team that's lost 40 of their first 50 games of an NBA season generated this much buzz, but this is the New York Knicks. So Mike just showed you some of the emojis. Here's actual words that were tweeted. Yes, from Porzingis, New York will always have a special place in my heart. Grateful for everybody who made this journey so special, for my family and I.